What is up, everybody? JD here. I hope you're doing well today. Got a cool model in from Gecko Custom Knife Works to check out, so let's jump into it. All right, guys, we have the Gecko Custom Knife Works Sikorae Light, and this is a very interesting option you're going to want to hang out to check out. Did send it around with the optional Topo G10 scales, but when I researched this one, they do just come with a solid color G10 scale, and then they offer optional scales for around $20, which I think is very affordable. As you can see, it does have a titanium milled pocket clip that is reversible. They do have a filler tab here as well to keep everything tidy and clean, so I do appreciate that a lot. You do have a opening hole or a flipper tab for your deployment, jimping on that flipper tab, so good job there. Steel liners internally. Again, this is how they're able to get the price down on this one. Very satisfying detent to deploy. Same beautiful drop point magna cut steel blade on this one, which is what I think makes this a very compelling option for some folks out there. I'm able to get a 3.5 finger grip in the choke back position, so this is a medium knife. It is going to be more suited for small to large hands, but if you have that larger hand and you're okay with always being choked up, they do have that forged choil, and that does create additional space for you to be able to use this knife. Does have a nice thin blade stock on it. It did come in the pass round, so when I did the initial cut, a little rough going through there. But when I moved over to the cardboard, which is a little bit of a denser material, I did see that this was very slicey. It went through that material very easily. It is a little bit of a higher drop point. I'm sorry, drop point. Yeah, a little bit of a higher drop point. So you do have to come up a little bit more for those trace cuts. But then once I actually stropped this at the end to clean up the edge a little bit from the pass around, it was very impressive how slicey it was and how well it actually moved through a thin material like that catalog paper. The slightly contoured G10 scales are very comfortable. Choked up, the only real hot spot is just where they thin it out here to get it thin for that blade's edge. That was really the only complaint that I had. Everything is contoured and chamfered and knocked down, so it's a very comfortable user. The chamfered access to that liner lock works well. It's a little tight with me for the larger hand, but I think anybody with smaller hands than myself, you're going to really be able to easily manipulate that lock with no issues whatsoever. And you're really going to enjoy the detent tune on this one. They did a really good job from the factory. Let's do some size comparisons before we jump into the price on this one. All right, so here we have a couple in my collection that I really enjoy. We have the Manix 2 Lightweight, and you can see the Manix 2 Lightweight I consider to be full size, a little bit bigger than the Gecko. And then you have the Sibon here from Concept, which I think is very comparative. You do have a little bit more space because you don't have that flipper tab, so I can actually get a full 4-finger grip, and you got a little bit more handle on there, but I still think it's a very fair comparison here to the Gecko Light. Let's do a couple more. All right, we have a couple of Kaisers on the table here. We have the Militaw. This is the limited edition with M390 and the Lava Flow Fat Carbon insert. And then we have the 80s Camo Carbon Party Mini Militaw. The Mini Militaw, I think, is also very comparable to the Sikorae Light. And I do also like these because they're very comparable in price. So you're looking at $199 as of the recording of this video on their website. You're looking at around just over $200 for some of these limited run Militaws. But if you're looking at the S35 yen titanium with the micarta inlay, you're looking at under $199. I think they're coming in around $180. And then same thing here with some of the premium mini Momos. I think I said Militaw earlier. I meant Momo. But this one is coming in just over $200 with the S45, or is it 35, JD? I can't even remember. S35 yen, but it does have the polished DLC, and it does have camo carbon instead of G10. So again, Very comparable options. That's why I wanted to wait on the price point. I think it is a very nice option, very attractive knife. I do like that they offer some scale options, and I'm not going to do the disassembly on this, but it looks like this does cut in onto the G10. And I believe you would have to do the cutout for the pivot and obviously for the insert. So for scale makers, it's not going to be just as simple as doing a flat scale with a couple of holes to match. There's going to be a little bit more detail just on the outside, and I could not even begin to tell you if there may be any sort of cutout for that lock bar. It looks like there may be right here. So it would be a little bit more involved for someone to make a scale for that one. You would want to make sure you're working with someone that knows what they're doing in order to be able to match that up well. Let me get these out of the way. We'll grab the scale, and then we're going to check the weight out on the Sikorae Light. Got the scale out here, folks. Let's cut her on. I'm thinking this is probably going to be like 3.6. 3.7. I promise I didn't weigh it before. Just, you know, steel liners, tall blade, titanium, with a little bit of G10 in there for some weight reduction. I kind of figured it'd be around that weight. It's a good weight for something, you know, again, full steel liners that's going to be very durable and strong for you to be able to kind of use this harder. And then you're going to be, you know, steel hardware throughout, titanium pocket clip, you know, little things on there to kind of touch it up and dress it up a little bit. But I love that price point. I think that's right where something like this would want to be with this type of steel, which again, I think is its strongest selling point. Let me get the scale out of here and we'll go ahead and wrap up final thoughts and impressions. All right, time for those final thoughts and impressions on the Sikorae Light. I really enjoyed the Sikorae. I thought it was a really good deal, especially when they put it on sale. I thought that was a much better price in that mid to early 300 price range with the premium materials. With the steel liners and G10 and offering Magna Cut, I think that is a very fair price, very comfortable in the hand, and very happy with the cutting performance. Again, when I initially cut with it, it was coming via the pass around, and I don't touch those up beforehand just so you can see what I'm getting, and then I'll let you see what it looks like after I have maintenance the edge, which it was pretty easy to maintenance the edge on this one. Now, what I take into consideration is going to be price, fit and finish, performance, both cutting and deployment and closing, and the aesthetics, which I do think this is an attractive knife. Do I wish it was a little bit bigger? I do. But having said that, I can get a tight forefinger on there. I know I'm hanging off the back a little bit, but I can hang on to it and I can choke up. Now, I don't go very far past the first knuckle on the choke up. So if I wanted to use this, I would have to kind of choke up on the knife and then I would end up losing a little bit of the blade's edge. So I think overall, I think if this were like 3/4 of an inch longer on both ends, dividing that equally, a little bit more blade, a little bit more handle for me, I think it would be perfect for me. But having said that, it's not a bad knife. It would just be a small carry with a good weight on it. I grade on a scale of 1 to 10, with 7 being the cutoff for budget knives. So this half of the knife, minus the titanium pocket clip, would be budget. This would be what I would consider to be a super steel and a premium item on here with the pocket clip. So it can potentially go over a 7 because of that. And for me, I'm actually going 7.2. I really like the look of this. If this was my personal knife, I would get a flipper tab delete and I would try to actually even this out as much as possible so that I could actually come back and choke up. As you can see here, if I could move back off of that blade's edge, that would really give me a lot of that blade's edge back. So that would really solve the problem and it would be an easy thing to do. I personally would even send it off to have it done by someone with a machine that actually can do a really solid job on this, because I like the model overall and I would want it to be something that would be done right. Oh, and look, I am just now noticing, I've had this for like a week, guys. I'm just noticing the Magna Cut insignia there. It gets hidden when you close it and it's hidden when you open it, but you catch it on the close. I don't know how I missed that all this time until just now. Funny stuff. Also, I meant to indicate it does come with stamped bearings. I can see here that Lefty has thrown some skiffs on here, but the stamped bearings were in the package, which is a premium box with a cloth and the information on the knife. So just in case you wondered about that. that. If you enjoyed the video, definitely leave a like, comment down below and let me know what you think about the Sikorae light and its price point. I'd love to hear your feedback and see what you think on that one, and let me know what you thought about the score on this one. I'll link everything that I can for you below. When you use my affiliate links that are below, it does help the channel, and it is what allows the channel to continue to go. So I appreciate that. Thank you to my channel members. Same thing. It helps the channel tremendously, and I appreciate that. I'm out of here, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'll catch you all on the next one. Peace.